Now again, let's begin from page number 116, and we had finished till he handed it to me. Now we'll start from the next paragraph, the second paragraph on page number 116. A year ago, in my free time in London, I had studied for a science degree. Now, this stranger, is telling about himself to H.G. Wells, the narrator of the story. So, he's telling him that a year ago, in my free time in London, I had studied for a science degree. So, actually, he had already studied for a science degree there. So, I had a bit of knowledge about physics and mineralogy. So, actually, this stranger, he already had the knowledge of physics and mineralogy means when a person study the study about minerals. This thing looked like an uncut diamond of the darker type. I saw it was too big and had the shape of a regular octahedron. You know the shape, how the diamonds are shaped. You know, nine or something, eight like that. You know, some like cuts are there. I took out my penknife and tried to scratch it. So what he did, Ajib, was he tried to scratch. Um he took out his penknife and tried to scratch that stone. I could not do it, but he could not scratch it because you know the diamonds are very hard. I went under the light and tried it on my watch glass. You know, with diamonds you can cut glass. No, diamonds are used to cut glass. So that is why what he did, he tried to scratch his watch glass by that diamond. The glass got scratched easily, and then what happened? The glass got scratched very easily. His watch glass got scratched easily with the diamond. So now he had like this, that at least this thing has the property of a diamond. I looked at it with rising curiosity. It certainly is rather like a diamond because it had that quality of cutting a glass. But if so, it is a very big diamond. Where did you get it? But, anyways, we all know that diamonds are small in shape, they are not so big. But this particular diamond was quite a big diamond, so that is why he is asking that diamonds are very small and this one is very big. So, from where did you get it? And the man replied, I made it. He said, give it back to me. He quickly put it back in his jacket. I will sell it to you for 100 pounds. So he said, okay, if you want this, I can sell it to you for 100 pounds. He suddenly whispered. This made me suspicious again. Suspicious means doubting him. So he started doubting him that, oh, maybe it is not a real one or it is something like that only, and then he's just trying to make money out of me. I felt it could just be a lump of some hard substance called corundum. So he thought, oh, it is just some of the any hard substance, and which is also called corundum. Now, what is corundum? You can see the meaning here. The corundum, a naturally occurring transparent material, and this material is actually a crystalline form of aluminium oxide. So, okay, so it is just artificial. It is a real, naturally which occurs, you know, which you can find under the ground. It's like quartz and all, even like even the salt. No, it also appears like a hard substance. It is a hard substance. There are many stones you can find underneath. So obviously, even this is some transparent, shiny thing. So he thought that it is artificial only. So something like natural occurring. He quickly put it in his jacket. Now he was quite suspicious about this man. I felt it could just be a lump of some hard substance called corundum that also resembles a diamond. If it was a diamond, how did he find it and why should he offer it for 100 pounds? And then he's thinking that if it is a diamond, why is he trying to give it only for 100 pounds? Because diamond is very costly, many 100 pounds its price would be, and then he's just giving me in 100 pounds. We looked into one another's eyes. He looked honest. At that moment, I believed it was a diamond he was trying to sell. And then, somewhere, when he looked at his face, into his eyes, he found that this man is really an honest man and he's trying to sell it. Yet I am a poor man and cannot waste 100 pounds. And then H.G. Wells thought that the narrator thinks that, oh, after all, he himself is a poor man, he's not that rich, and why should he waste money on such a stone like that? And he thought that it's not sensible to waste money. No sensible man would buy a diamond by the dim light from a tramp. That no sensible a man who is sensible obviously is not going to purchase a diamond from a poor man. Okay, obviously he'll first see if he is rich. Obviously, then only he can possess a costly diamonds. But a diamond of that size would cost many thousands of pounds, and then obviously that size of diamond is very costly. Such a big diamond, you can't find big diamonds, and if it is big, obviously it's very costly. It may cost thousands of pounds, and then how can he sell only just for 100 pounds? How did you get it? I asked again, and again he's asking, how did you get it? He said, I made it, was his reply again, and then he said, oh, I made it. Obviously, it was shocking for the narrator. I had heard something of Moisen. Now, Moisen was another scientist in those days, and actually, he had created some artificial diamonds. So, this man, the narrator, had already heard about Moisen, but I knew his artificial diamonds were very small, and he almost knew that he used to create artificial diamonds, and his diamonds were quite small in size. But how can it be such a big which this stranger has? I shook my head. So he said, oh no, this cannot be. You seem to know something of diamonds. I will tell you a little about myself. Perhaps then you may like to buy it. And then he said, wait, I'll tell you something about myself, and if when you hear that, at least you can have some faith on me. So you seem to know. He turned round with his back to the river and put his hands in his pockets. He sighed. I know you will not believe me. Diamonds, he began, are to be made by throwing carbon out of combination in a suitable flux. Then he said, I know that if I tell you the story, you will not believe, but how diamonds are made, that he started telling him. And he said that diamonds can be made by throwing carbon out of combination in a suitable flux, and under a suitable pressure the carbon crystallizes out not as black lead or charcoal powder but as small diamonds. Then he said that if you throw the carbon out of the combination in a suitable flux, flux is what? See, flux is chemical mixture. So if you throw that in this chemical mixture and under a suitable pressure of see, now you must we already know that how diamonds are found. Actually, they are in the coal mines. Diamonds are found in the coal mines where they lie for hundreds and hundreds of years, and under that pressure you can find those diamonds there. A suitable pressure. The carbon crystallizes out not in black lead or charcoal powder but as small diamonds. So, and after that you will find that it doesn't appear as a lead or charcoal powder but as a small diamonds, quite shiny. Now I was surprised he was talking like an educated man. He continued, so much has been known to chemists. And now he appeared to him as quite an educated man, and then he thought, oh, that maybe he is right, he is not wrong. Now I was surprised he was talking like an educated man. He continued saying that so much has been known chemists for years, but no one has yet found out how to have the right pressure for the best results. Therefore, the diamonds made by chemists are small and dark and worthless as jewels. So what he said that now obviously when he was talking, about the how diamonds are made. So the narrator, he thought, oh, now he's sounding as if he's quite educated, and has that knowledge about diamonds and all. And then he also started narrating and saying that so much has been known to chemists for years, but no one has yet found out how to have the right pressure for the best results. Like there have been so many chemists, but they did not know about what type of pressure, how much pressure is required for to make the diamonds. Therefore, the diamonds made by chemists are small and dark, and that is why whenever they make diamonds, they are always small and dark color and worthless as jewels. Means they are not favorable to make jewels or to stud in the jewelry. Now have given up my life to this problem, given my life to it. And then he's saying, now you see that I have already given whole of my life for this making of diamond. I began to work at the condition of diamond making when I was 17. So this man, when he was just 17 years of age, he started making diamonds. And now I am 32. So and now he is 32. That means almost double the time, almost 15 16 years. One has to work hard for years. If one succeeds, the hard work can get you millions. Okay? Then he says millions. That if you really work hard on one thing, and if you succeed in your life doing that, obviously you can make a lot of money, millions you can make. He paused and looked for my sympathy, and then he just paused and he looked at the narrator, saying that he needed sympathy to think. Said he that I was about to make millions, and look at me now. So the whole of his life he worked so hard, and obviously he thought that he would make millions of money in the end if I succeed. But then see what has happened to me. So he's trying to convince Wells about that. See, I was about to make millions, a lot of money, and for that I almost gave up my life, the whole of my life, and now see what has happened to me. I don't even have anything to eat, and he's running here and there. He went on, about 1,000 pounds when I was 21. That means when he was quite small, he was just of 21 years. At that time, he had so much of money, 1,000 pounds. I worked as a teacher, and he also used to work as a teacher. I felt that with the money I earned, I would continue my research. And while working as a teacher, he would earn some money, and he would always put that money in his research work. And he thought that it will continue and it will help him in his research work. I studied for a year or two in Berlin. He also studied along with doing job and along with his research work also. The trouble was the secrecy. And what was the main trouble? That was the secrecy. Like whatever work he was doing, this research work, it had to be a secret. No one should know about this. You see, if someone got to know what I was doing, they might have profited. So like if somebody comes to know that how to make diamond, so they would make diamond, and then they would make profit out of it. If I really wanted to make a lot of money, it was important that people should not know that one can make diamonds by an artificial process. So obviously if he wanted to make a lot of money, he should hide things or the patent from others, so that others don't make artificial diamonds and profit. So he had to keep that as a secret. So I had to work all alone, and obviously he could not keep any servant or any helper in doing his research work. So he had to do all the work all by himself. At first, I had a little laboratory, but as my money began to run out, I had to conduct my experiments in a poor, unfurnished room in Kentish Town. So, what? Slowly, he started losing all his money because in the research work he needed a lot of money, to buy apparatus and all that, all things, chemicals and all. So, the money he went short of. I had to conduct my experiments in a poor furnish, and then because he did not have enough money, he had to conduct all his experiments in a very barn sort of a room, a store type of room, unfurnished, not a good room, in Kentish town, where I slept on a straw mattress on the floor among all my apparatus. And there he used to live in a poor way, so he had to sleep on the straw mattress, not even proper mattress to sleep on. And among all my apparatus, and around, that means only one room he had. He used to conduct all his research work also in that same room. In that same room only he used to sleep also. That means only one room he had, a very small apartment. The money simply flowed away. So all his research work, it took all his money in that research. I did not spend on anything except scientific equipments. Now whatever he did, actually he spent on his scientific equipments, in purchase of his scientific equipment, so that his research work could be a success. I tried to earn by a little teaching, but I am not a very good teacher and I don't have a university degree also. Now poor thing, he wanted to teach and earn more money, but he was not a trained teacher. He was not so much educated. He did not have any university degree also, but then also he used to teach children. I do not have much education except in chemistry. So he did not have much education, but in chemistry, obviously, he was quite educated and he knew a lot about the chemicals and about chemistry. I found I was spending a lot of time and energy for little money. And for that small amount of money, he had to spend a lot of his energy and time also just to earn a small amount of money. But I got nearer and nearer my goal. But because he was so confident and he was so obviously he just wanted to do that work, and so obviously he got near to his goal. 3 years ago, I solved the problem of the composition of the flux and got near the pressure by putting this flux of mine and a certain carbon mixture into a closed up gun barrel, filling it up with water, sealing it tightly, and then heating it. So, and then he paused. So, what he said, that ultimately he was getting nearer to his goal, and then after 3 years he actually got that patent, like how he could make that the diamonds. And he also comes to know about the pressure by putting that particular flux of his into the carbon mixture into a closed up gun barrel. So a long gun with a barrel, from where the gun, the bullet comes out, that barrel, that long barrel. So he put all of this flux into that barrel and he closed it tightly and he filled it up with water, sealing it tightly and then heating it. And after that he started heating it. You can see in the picture also. And then he paused. Rather risky, said I. So H.G. Wells, he said, oh, that's rather risky. It might burst also. Yes, it burst and smashed all my windows and a lot of my apparatus, but I got a kind of diamond powder nevertheless. But then what happened? Yes, the barrel got burst, but then ultimately, and most of his apparatus also got smashed up. They were all destroyed. But then ultimately what happened? He got that diamond powder. And what was that diamond powder? Then I came across the work of Daubrey, and so after he got a little bit of success and he got the diamond powder nevertheless. Then he also had heard about Daubrey. Now who is Daubrey? Actually Daubrey was a French geologist, a French man who used to study about the earth, chemicals there and all that, minerals there. So known for his dangerous experiments on the artificial production of minerals and rocks. So he also used to experiment, and his experiments used to be very dangerous, and he also wanted to produce artificial minerals and rocks. So he was Dobry. So he had already heard about Dobry and he also wanted to do the same thing as Dobry did.